Let's get this started, guys. How are we doing today? Thanks for joining us here on this tariff update webinar, guys. I'm Steve Lagomarsino. I'm president here at TRC Electronics. And the intention of this webinar today is, number one, is to provide everybody clarity on the present tariff situation, give you all the facts so that we can reconcile the information I'm giving you with the actual facts of what has happened during the course of the past few months. Thirdly is also to increase awareness of some of the potential risks that are out there right now that you may or may not be aware of. And in order for you to be successful, you're going to want to be able to manage these risks. And also at the end, I'm going to provide time to do a little bit of Q&A and answer any questions that anybody has. And I strongly encourage you, if you have a question during the course of this, you could put it in the chat or raise your virtual hand and we'll make sure we get your questions answered. Final comment here is that we will be posting this recorded webinar on our YouTube channel. Everybody that's on here will get an email with a direct link to that if you don't want to go directly to the YouTube channel. Also, the presentation that I'm about to give you, we're also going to be emailing everybody that's on this webinar a copy of that. And in addition to that, tomorrow we'll have a nice blog summarizing this webinar, and all those links that I just mentioned for the YouTube video of the recording of this, as well as a copy of this presentation will also be found there, because some of us on this webinar may want to share this information with other stakeholders in our organizations. And once again, guys, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I'd be more than happy to answer them. All right, Melissa, if we can bring up the presentation, we'll get going here, guys. Okay, we'll go to the next slide here. So I'm going to start off with where we are presently today. It's May 21st. And what are the tariffs right now for power supplies? We're focusing primarily on power conversion components here. And that's what we do here at TRC Electronics. China right now, the tariff at China is 55%. And the way you get at 55% is that we have a Section 301 tariff at 25%. We have the IEPA of 20%. And then we have the reciprocal tariff that was 125%, but has been reduced to 10% for 90 days. That brings us to the total 55%. Mexico and Canada is at 25%, and the remaining countries are at 10%. And that is a temporary pause of 90 days that went into effect initially on July 9th. Okay, power supply timeline, guys. This gives you all the facts. For some of us were on a previous webinar we did a few weeks ago, but I'm breaking it down here. Not only do we have the actual timeline of events, but we also have links to the executive orders that declare these different tariffs. We started off several years ago in 2018 with the Section 301. That was 25%. We've been dealing with that up until the beginning of this year. February 1st, President initiated the 10% additional IEPA tariff on China products and 10% on Canada and Mexico. That brought at that time, our total China import tariff to 35%. On March 3rd, we had an additional 10% IEPA tariff on China products, and we imposed a 25% on Canada and Mexico. That at that time brought our total China import tariff to 45%. Then on April 2nd, Liberation Day, we added a 34% reciprocal tariff to China products, as well as varying tariffs on the other countries. And at that particular point in time, our total China tariff was 79%. So you could see, like in just a short time, February through April, a lot of things changed really super fast. Okay, now when we move along here in April 7th, the U.S. retaliated in response to China's retaliatory tariffs, and we increased our reciprocal tariff an additional 25%. That at that time brought our total China import tariff to 129%. And then really quickly, 2 days later, We have another, what we did there was we had a temporary 10% tariff pause on all countries except China and Canada and Mexico. And also on that day, we increased the China reciprocal tariff from 84 to 125%. And at that time, we had 170% import tariff on China products. At that particular point in time, TRC Electronics had about $2 million worth of, just from one supplier, we had about $2 million worth of product scheduled to ship shortly after that point in time. That would have equated to a $3.4 million tariff that we would have been transferring and passing along to our clients. And what we did at that point in time, 90-something% of the product that we were scheduled to come in, we were able to pause the shipments from the factories and just hold off because we had sufficient inventory in our warehouse. And we also felt at that time that that was not sustainable and something should develop and happen over the next couple of weeks. So fortunately, we did that. And as a result, brings us to May 12th. We held on just long enough that all that product that we paused and that one particular supplier, when it ultimately arrives here, is going to be at a diminished tariff of 55%. So we're looking at saving our clients maybe about like $2-point-something million in tariffs, and just from that one supplier. Because on May 12th, President announced a 90-day temporary modifications of tariffs on the China products. And that suspension was effective May 14th, 2025. And the determination of the tariffs at that point in time were going to be at time of import. So anything that was in transit that we were considering that was going to be 170%, when it arrives during this 90-day period, is going to be at 55%. We have a link here for the executive order that good luck trying to interpret it. You need an attorney to understand it. But a more simplified reference here is we have the U.S. Customs Border Protection Guidance, which really summarizes nicely in a one-page simplification what that modification of the reciprocal tariff rate is for China. That brings us where we are today. And if we look at the next slide here, this explains exactly where we are at this time with China tariff stacking. Until August 13th, 2025 at 12:01 a.m., we are at 25% Section 301 plus 20% IEPA plus 10% reciprocal. It gives us 55% total for China. Now, this tariff during this period is determined by the date it's entered into the country. So any product that enters after August 13th would potentially be subject to a different tariff, whether that's going to revert back to the 170% or whether we're going to get a trade deal between now and then and we're going to stay at the 55% or be at like a 45%. That's still to be determined. But one thing that to set our expectations, we know entering into this, we already had a 25% Section 301. I don't see any situation where that is eliminated. Also, the president has made it clear that he's wishing for a baseline of 10% reciprocal. So that brings us to 35%. So possibly the best case scenario that we can hope for is going to ultimately be 35%, where that 20% IEPA is removed for like the ethanol like issues that we're dealing with China producing that substance and that product. Next here, I give you guys a little bit of a reference, like there's a link here, the harmonization tariff schedule of the United States. This is really important. So we're an importer. If you happen to be importing anything yourself, it's really important that you understand what your HTS codes are. We've outlined here what they are for power supplies, and that's what your tariff is determined by, what your HTS codes. So this document here, when you look at it from the government, it's over 4,000 pages. But Chapter 85 of the harmonized tariff schedule of the United States is where we find the power conversion components. Really important here is, so as this evolves and develops and time moves on and things change, new risks evolve. And I'm going to outline what they are because we see them. We have a lot of visibility here in our organization with not only the importing that we're doing, but watching how the industry is working and responding from this. Now, first risk that we need to be aware of is that there's a surge in pre-deadline imports. So as you can imagine, as soon as the pause was announced, a lot of importers want, hey, let's bring in product and get it here before the 90-day period expires, in case that after the 90 days, we don't have a deal and we return to some type of higher import tariff rate. So this has triggered a rush of orders. Companies are racing to get products in here before that window closes, and only the product that physically arrives here and enters U.S. customs before that 90-day pause are going to qualify for that reduced tariff. The second risk here is the supply chain disruption risk. Now, as June and July approach, importers are obviously facing a growing risk of port congestion. So you're going to have a pileup of containers. There's going to be limited freight capacity because we place these orders with the product needs to be manufactured and then shipped right away so that we can beat the 90-day pause. So you're going to possibly have some delivery capacity issues. There could be some delays, whether it's not just simply the vessels that are coming over in the container space, but also the ability to truck in and out of the ports, where you're going to have the ports a little bit congested. So we're aware of this and we're preparing for it and we're anticipating and being proactive with it. And it's good for you guys to be able to have this transparency because you could do your planning and make sure that the supplier, any supplier that you're working with that's importing on your behalf has proactive plans and is taking care of this. So one of the things that we're doing, we're aware of this. So when we're making promise on delivery dates, we're anticipating some possible congestion and delays, and we're building that into what we're promising our customers so that we're going to exceed your expectations. Another risk, the third one here, is U.S. suppliers' lack of tariff transparency. So what's happening right now, because tariffs are so high, and sometimes prohibitive for our clients, many local U.S. suppliers are delaying disclosing the tariff-related fees, and oftentimes until the final stages of checkout or even invoicing. So this is leaving our clients exposed to unexpected costs after making purchasing commitments. So if you're ordering online, be aware you want to see those tariff fees up front, not when you get into the checkout or after you pay for the order, or even worse, some suppliers are doing it and providing with those tariff fees not until they actually ship it and invoice the product to clients. So be aware that this is happening in an industry. I'll share a little bit about what we're doing to be 100% transparent with our clients and our partners. And finally, importing fraud puts you at risk. So if you happen to be importing at all and directly from overseas, especially China, even if it's initiated by your supplier, you, the importer of record, are fully responsible for custom declarations. And these fraud errors can lead to fines, shipment seizures, or even criminal penalties. So we've had requests, hey, why don't you do this or do that in order to minimize the tariff impact? I'm going to walk you through a little bit of why we don't do it and why you shouldn't. So next slide here. What is import fraud and why is it a big risk, and why do you need to be aware of this right now? Well, some fraud would be falsifying a country of origin and claiming it's Vietnam instead of China, understating the invoice value, declaring $1,000 for a shipment when it's really $10,000, importing it as zero cost repairs, pretending new goods are actually return repaired, or simply just misclassifying the HTS code and mislabeling them. Now, we're aware that this is happening to some degree, and we've had some requests like, hey, is there a way around this? But your company is the importer of record. You are actually legal. Whoever the importer of record is legally responsible for what's declared, even if the exporter who exported to our country created those documents. Not the Chinese exporter. We signed the documents here in the US, whoever the importer of record is. So what are the consequences if you import it and there's importing fraud? Well, one, there's civil and criminal penalties that fines up to the value of the goods and actually even potential jail time. So this is really important if you guys are importing to understand how you could potentially be putting your business at risk and also the officers in your organization. You could have your import privileges revoked, shipments blocked. And there's executive liability. The owners could be held personally responsible. So shortcuts today can destroy your business tomorrow. So don't take that risk. I would just suggest if you are the importer of record, you sign the custom documents. And if the government decides your crime was committed, it's you they'll come after, not the supplier in China. And even if your supplier is pushing for these methods, you're the one who's ultimately going to pay the consequence in fines, audits, or even criminal prosecution. So unfortunately, there's really no shortcuts around it. It's just working through this as best as possible and hoping for the best outcome between our countries. Some examples of countries of origin displayed on, if we go to the next slide, what I'd like to do is we've made some updates to our website per the request of our clients. On the bottom left here is just a clip on a page on our website. This is a product page of one of our products, LPV-6012, and you'll see this on any product page on our website where I've circled it. Under the specifications, you'll see known country of origin, so that when you're selecting products through our website or you're shopping on our website and you want transparency of what country of origin, where is this manufactured, we're providing that on every single page so that you can make decisions if you want your decisions to be influenced by the country of origin. And on the right-hand side here, this is a clip of a collections page. When you're looking in a product category and you're looking at all the different options, we have filters on the left side of the page now that also indicates known country of origin. So you could filter through based on what country of origin that you would like to select products or purchase products, because many of our clients are moving away from China manufactured products and are looking at other countries instead of China. Next here, tariff transparency on the website. So what we've been doing is as I mentioned, there's many suppliers that are not giving you that transparency up front, and you're realizing it either when you're invoiced or when you're actually providing them the payment info. What we're doing when there's a tariff that is applicable to a particular item, we put it right there with the pricing. It's included in the price on the website. It's included in the price, and there's no surprise fees in checkout. You see what you're paying. You don't get into checkout or after we ship it to you, give another fee. Now, if you're ordering offline and you're receiving a proposal from us, you're going to see the item price, and you're going to see the second item with the tariff. So when you see it, but you're going to have it upfront and transparent. Okay, some of you guys, some of our clients, many of them are asking for help with, okay, hey, can you take a look at what we're using? Can you please help me out with assessing my risk? I'm using China product. What are my options? There's a QR code here. You guys can scan this and you fill out a short, quick form, and my team is going to get on it and be able to help you with any type of assistance that you need. And we even put a link in the chat there. Fill that out. We'll analyze what you're doing, what you're using, and we'll look at what your options are, whether what you're using right now still remains the best option, or you do have other options which put you at less risk. We'd be happy to help you with that. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing here. Uh, this is a moment for you guys. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. Put them in the chat because it's important that you leave here with answers, not questions. I can help you guys with anything that you need.
Stephen, I received a direct question here. This is coming from Bill. How does TRC differentiate their stock or incoming stock with all these different tariff rates? How are they differentiating that, and how does that apply to your clients?
Yeah, all right. That's a great question. So we are differentiating that. So we're lot controlled in our warehouse. Every single item belongs to a particular lot. In the lot, we know when we received it. In the lot, we know what our tariff liability was, what we paid or what we need to pay. So we have total granular transparency of all our inventory and what our specific tariff was, so that we're not charging somebody 55% tariff when we really paid 55% tariff. So we're able to look at that at a granular level and be able to provide that information for everybody.
Yeah, and they just commented back that suppliers are just giving flat rates and they're not being as transparent about that. So
yeah, right. So look, some suppliers are going to take this as an opportunity to make more money. That's just what it sounds like to me. We went through the effort. We didn't previously, we didn't have that granular information on our lots, but we went back in history and we updated all our lots and moving forward, we're making sure we have that because there's so much volatility and change in what's being charged, that we want to make sure that we're only passing along what we're paying the US government to our clients, so that we're keeping you guys as competitive as possible and truthfully just being transparent about it, and so that we still continue to earn your trust. Is there a way for the Chinese manufacturer to be the importer of record? Okay, that's a great question. Not that I'm aware of. I can't imagine that there's a way to do that. If there's something that I would say 99.9% certain that there's no way, unless they have a particular location here, if they have a US headquarters where they've incorporated here in the US and they're importing. So some of our suppliers, they have a US headquarters here and they're importing and being the importer of record. But we can't put the liability on them and import to us. You're welcome, Dan. Great question.
another question that we have here is received direct. Are suppliers moving product specifically in the power supply industry outside of China to like other factories? Or are you seeing a trend there?
Yes. So suppliers are beginning to there has been this, I would call it, slow transition since 2018, and it kind of lost some steam and we didn't over the past few years. But suppliers are moving over. They do realize that long term, we can't have this long term dependence for the US economy to buy from China. So we are seeing movement even just in the past few months. We're continually getting updates about what's been moved from China to Philippines to India to Thailand to Tunisia to South Korea, you name it. Like, we're getting updates little by little. I think what the manufacturers are really looking for right now is some certainty, like the power supply manufacturers, and specifically some certainty of what is it going to look like over the next 5 years, because making these moves and making bigger and more aggressive moves requires certainty of what the landscape is going to be, so that we don't make a move to a country and we find out after all negotiations are done that the tariffs are really are at a big tariff disadvantage in a particular country.
All right, I have another one here. It's regarding Section 301 tariffs. You were talking about power supplies, but are there other products included, such as batteries and cabling, enclosures that fall under the Section 301 tariffs?
Yeah, everything you just named is subject to Section 301 tariffs. Yes. All right, great, guys. Any more questions, Melissa?
That was the last one that I have.
All right, well, hey, listen, guys, we're going to continue doing these updates because we feel like so much is changing so fast. We get so many questions from everybody. We're constantly communicating with our clients. We'll continue to give you guys these updates. Once again, if you weren't on the call for the first couple minutes, we're going to be emailing you a link to the recording of this, which will be on YouTube. We'll also be emailing you a link to the whole entire presentation, so you have a copy of it. And in addition to that, you'll see an article on our website and our blog tomorrow where we'll be outlining this and also providing you the links to everything that we just talked about. And what's really important is take a copy of this presentation, because embedded within it has all the links to all the resources. So if you want to fact check anything, you'll be able to have the confidence in the information that we're providing you. And, having confidence in information gives us the confidence to make decisions and move forward and make here. And you'll be able to share that with your other stakeholders. Melissa put the link in the chat here just a moment ago. If you would like any assistance with auditing what you're using, and hey, am I at risk here for a China product? Are there better options? Because we have over a dozen power supply manufacturers coming from probably 12 or 15 different countries that they manufacture in. We'd be happy to take a look at it. No cost, no commitment required. We'll just look at it for you and give you your options. All right, guys, great seeing everybody here. We'll get through this, and each day that goes by, we're getting closer to resolution with these different situations with our different countries. But with a little bit of luck here, next couple months, 2-3 months, we'll have all these deals wrapped up. All right, guys, thank you so much. I'll see you all on the next webinar.